Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Isabel and this is my library. In today's video, I will be updating my 2026 reading journal for the month of January. It's here. It's time to update my reading journal for 2026 for the very first month of this year, guys. Oh my gosh. So you guys know I've been prepping my 2026 reading journal. I have been doing some of my reviews for the books that I've read in January, but I have yet to do a full update for that month. And here we are. It's time to do that. And I am so excited. Thank you guys for being here. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on all of my reading journal updates and on my reading life. So this is my 2026 reading journal. I have been working on it for quite a few months, prepping all of my pages. Believe it or not, there's still a couple I need to do, but we're moving forward with the ones that are already done so that I can officially update it for the month of January. So if you're new to my channel, you probably don't know, but I do monthly updates for all the challenges, all of my trackers for each of the months. And that's what we're going to work on today. So we're going to go ahead and start. There are a couple things I'm going to be updating. So here is my very first spread, and this is basically the back of this title page and that front page, which I decided to do for my reading and book goals. You guys know I was holding off on updating this as much as I could, simply because I wanted to make sure that I had the goals defined in my, in my mind and in my heart before I committed to them on paper. And for now, I will be writing down 2 or 3 of my reading goals for 2026, maybe a little bit more, the ones that I have committed to. So the first one that I'm going to be writing down is that I want to read at least 80 books. So that is my very first one. Read at least 80 books. We know that I do read more than that. Last year, I believe I made it exactly to 100. I'm always around the 100, 110 books a year, depending on the length of my books and timing and all of that. But I like to be conservative with my goals so that I don't feel pressure. And I will tell you, the pressure then transforms into me wanting to read shorter books and not really reading all the lengthier books that I want to read. So you'll notice that this month I read an 800-page book, and I'm happy with it because it's okay. I know that I can squeeze in a lot of long books and still meet my goal. So that makes me happy. That's a number that I am happy because I know I will achieve 80 no matter what. So another goal that I have this year is that I want to write reviews for books on my journal. So this is something new for me, guys. And I have always done on my Goodreads. By the way, if you're not my friend on Goodreads, that is linked in the description box. So go ahead and send me a friend request. We can become friends on Goodreads. And I love seeing what you guys are reading. So it's a wonderful way for me to find out about new books. And you can recommend new books to me as well. So I always write a very brief Goodreads review after I read a book and I give it a rating. But I had never used my reading journal as a place to write full-on reviews. And I wanted to start doing that this year, and I've been able to do it. And the way that I started doing it is by not committing to review every book that I read. I don't think I would have space on my reading journal for that. I don't think I would have time for that. So I'm just reviewing the books that I feel very passionate about, either because I love them or didn't love them, or because they were interesting, or whatever the case is, right? So I am writing some of those, and I did complete those throughout the month. Those are updates that I do throughout the month. It's the only part of the month that I update on my reading journal, and you'll get to see those later on when I flip to those pages. But I also have videos featuring all of that, which I will link, of course, as I always do, in the description box. Another one of my goals was to read more classics. And you guys know that I do love classics. I'm an English major. I teach English literature. So I do read classics, and I have read a lot of classics, but I am making it a point to read more literary merit books each month, whether it's just one or multiple of them. I'm not committing to a number that I want to read. I just want to read more of them. So I did read a literary merit piece in the month of January. I'm trying to see if I could do at least one a month. And if I'm able to do that, I'll consider myself successful if I'm able to do at least one a month. And it's just because I want to have more access to classics. Of course, I've read a lot of them, but there are so many I haven't read, and so many wonderful books of literary merit out there that I want to read more of. So I want to do a balance of, reading all of my fun thriller, horror, mystery books, and balancing some of that with reading some books that are considered modern classics or older classics or whatnot. I also, for number 4, want to make the commitment to read more nonfiction. So this has been a goal of mine for a while. I do read some memoirs. I do read books on topics that interest me, but I don't do enough of it because I don't think I am aware, right? So when I'm building my TBR, I'm trying to be more aware of these things. So I'm trying to read more nonfiction. In the month of January, I did read a memoir, so I was able to do that. And as of the first days of February, I am already reading another memoir. So I am reading another nonfiction as of right now. So it seems like these goals are happening. That's kind of where I want to leave it right now. That's all I really want to commit to for the moment. If I find that there are more things I want to eventually add to my reading and book goals, I will go ahead and do that at a later date. I have not done my index just yet. I was waiting to wrap up a couple more of those spreads that I need to create, but we will work on this together soon. All right, so here is the first time I'm going to be updating my 2026 books that I read. And this is just a place where I like to list everything that I have read, the title, the author, and the rating. And I did do this in my reading journal last year, and it worked very well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and update that now with you. And of course, I will, as I am writing, fast forward you through this part. And then I will go ahead and come back and tell you a little bit about the books that I read and so on and so forth. went ahead and updated this section with the 8 books that I was able to read. For this, I am using the Pilot Razor Point Extra Fine, and I usually use this one. It is a fine liner. I do enjoy doing these in fine liner as opposed to gel pens. I like the look of it, and I just kept basically the same kind of pen for this. You might want to use, if you're doing this, something a little thinner. It might help you fit in a few more things. I don't really mind if it's a little bit off on the sides. I did not want to go into a second row because I really do need the space. If I'm able to read 100 books, I believe I'm going to finish like around here, so it doesn't give me a lot of room for extras. So I like to conserve the space and limit myself to just one per line. Of course, if you're interested in my more profound thoughts on all these books, you can find those in different places. I do have up on my channel my January wrap-up, and I also have some reading vlogs where I read these. So all of that will be linked for you below if you're interested in my complete thoughts. But for now, I will just let you know, I read The Perfect Son by Freida McFadden and gave that one 2 stars. The Place Where They Buried Your Heart by Christina Henry, gave that one 5 stars. That was actually a part of my January book club pick for my very own book club, The Haunted Library. If you are interested in joining me in my book club, that will also be linked down below. And we do have a Discord channel as well for the book club. So feel free to join my Discord for the book club channel. And you can also join the Discord to just have some fun and share your spreads. I do have quite a few people on my Discord who are stationary people and they are reading journal people. So we have an entire channel where we can share our spreads. So if you're interested in that, make sure you join. I also went ahead and read 11/22/63 by Stephen King, gave that one 5 stars. You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca, gave that one 3 stars. Yours Cruelly Elvira by Cassandra Peterson, and I gave that one 4 stars. The Crash by Freida McFadden, gave that one 2.5 stars. Danganronpa Volume 4 by Takashi Tsukimi, gave that one 4 stars. And lastly, I read Fences by August Wilson and gave it 4 stars. So those are the 8 books that we're going to be working on for this reading journal update. And we're going to go ahead and move on now to the first time we update the Goodreads challenge, which I'm so excited about. So all of these boxes basically represent each of the books I will be reading. Again, we know my goal is 80 books, but I do normally add a few more boxes. This year I was able to fit 124 with enough room for my key. So basically what I do is for each of the books, let's say I'm going to go ahead and do The Perfect Son by Freida McFadden first. That will be my number 1. That book is a thriller. So I look here to see that thriller is this pink color. And these are my Tombow brush pens. So I do have here my brush pen number right here. So just in case I have issues remembering which of the pinks it is. I know that it's the 772 marker. So I have a point of reference so that I am using the same colors and I don't forget. These are my Tombow marker brush pens, which you guys know I love dearly. If you are interested in them or you've been curious about them, I do recommend that you check out my review of the Tombow marker pens. I do have an entire video where I review them. I swatch them out for you and I tell you how I feel about them. But spoiler alert, I love them. So that just tells you a little tiny bit about them. But if you do want to watch that video, I recommend that you watch that if you've been interested in these Tombow pens. And you don't have to buy them in this big container. This is the complete set. Okay, you don't have to, if you're interested in them or you want to try them out, they do sell them loosely in a lot of art stores. And you can also buy them by packs that have like 10 or 12. I'm not really sure, but if you want to give them a try, you can do that. And the packs usually have like a theme to them, so you can get them that way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and look for my 772 marker, which is this one. And I'm going to, with the brush side of it, because these are dual-sided. So we have the brush pen on one side. You always want to make sure you click these and don't leave them open because they will dry out on you. And then we have that bullet tip on the other side, which is great for just using as a marker. And that's basically what I do. I go ahead and color that in, and that's pretty much it. That's how we do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and speed you through it, and then I will bring you back once I have completed that. Okay, so we are back, and this is what it's looking like. I am pretty proud of myself with how vastly and differently I read this month. So that looks great to me. I only doubled up on one genre, which makes me happy. Lets me know I'm reading widely and diversely, which is important to me as a reader. So now we get to my 26 and 26. So I'm very quickly going to see if I was able to read any of the books that I have here. And I was not. So there is nothing for me to update with my 26 and 2026. As you guys know, I do carry over the books. I don't forget about them once I'm done with that year. So I do carry them over. And here we have my second chance to read the 18 books I had left over from 25 and 25. I want to make sure that I don't have any here that I need to update. And then we'll look at 24 and 24. So I only have 9 books left from 24 and 24. And I did read Yours Cruelly, Elvira, so I knocked off one of these. So that makes me very happy. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one off. Okay, so I did give Yours Cruelly, Elvira 4 stars. So I'm going to put my star rating here at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I also like to highlight the book cover for more of a visual tell that I did read this one. And this is why I enjoy doing this, because it makes me feel like I am accomplishing my goals no matter how long it takes me. So this is a book that I've had on my list to read since 2024, and I didn't consider it a failure. I knew I'd get to it, and I don't forget the books that I'm really excited about. And I do, of course, get distracted by new books like everybody else. And I do read a lot of new releases. But having this accountability, first, I love how it looks. And second, it makes me feel like it's not just something that I do to say, oh, these are my 26 books and talk about them and never remember them again. Like I actually hold myself accountable for reading them. So that one gets scratched off of my list. And right here in my 23 and 23, I see that You've Lost a Lot of Blood is here, which I did read. Let me just double check that that's the only one. I'm currently reading this still. All right, so the only one I read from 23 and 23 was You've Lost a Lot of Blood. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one off as well. This one did get 3 stars from me. And I'm going to highlight that one. And this already makes me feel so happy, so productive that I am actually reading some of these. So no, I may not have read anything on my 26 to read in 26. But I did knock off 2 from previous lists. And I love that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue now. So this next part is my alphabet challenge. So I love doing this. I love finding titles of books that fit the different letters of the alphabet. This year I really, really want to make sure I finish. In other years, I have left a couple letters over, but this year in particular, I want to finish it because it is 2026 and there's 26 letters of the alphabet. So I want to be able to do that. So I'm going to try my hardest to see if I can complete this one. So let's see. Let's go ahead and start filling this in. So I will begin looking at everything that I read this month, and I will go ahead and start adding those to this list. Alright guys, so we are back, and I did want to update you on the pens I'm using. So I'm going to try to be a little bit better about letting you know each time I use something, because I do get a couple questions in the comments every now and then. What did you use, or where'd you get that? So I want to make sure that I'm a little bit better about that. So for these, I went ahead and used the Papermate Inkjoy gel pen, the 0.7. And I used these 2 colors. I kind of like to keep it uniform. So I like starting with one color that matches like that spread. And then once I'm going to hit a second book, I like to then add another color because I do like the titles to be distinguishable one from the other. So I've added now my secondary color. So the first entry is going to be this color and my second entry will be this one. And that's just what I'm going to do throughout. Once I get a third one, then I'll add a third one. It always bums me out when in the same month I have two for one letter. I'm like, darn it. Like, how does that happen? Why didn't I get to, you know, get more letters? And especially when they're weird letters, like I have two Y's, you know, like that's kind of, you know, a little bit wild. But yeah, so that's where we are now. And I think that's pretty much where I want to be. I think that's really all I'm going to update. And I want to show you now what I used for these, because I forgot to show you or tell you. So for highlighting or doing a border around my books, I did use the Sharpie S-Note highlighters. I really do like these a lot, especially to use them as markers because they're a little bit darker. And then I did use for my star rating, my Stabilo 0.88 fine liners in the 0.4. That's what I ended up using for this. And I love these as well. They come in so many different colors. I'll show you here some of them, but they do come in a ton of colors. And I really, really do love these. If you're needing like something quick drawing, something very, very thin and a variety of colors, I highly recommend those fine liners. In case you're wondering with my the and the, both of these were the same. They were both P words. So I decided to put them as my T words. Last year I did not have a lot of T's and I wanted to kind of get my thes out of the way. I can be flexible with that. That's part of the flexibility that I am trying to do this year to help me achieve a little bit more of this. So I added both of those. In the future, other thes, I'll put them with their individual letters. Same thing with 11, 22, 63. I wanted to put it as like an other, but I decided to just 11, put it for my E. So it's really up to you. Again, guys, like this is for fun, you know. A lot of times we feel like so pressured or constrained to, you know, fit these challenges. It's your reading journal, it's your challenge. You put things wherever you want to put them and don't worry about it, you know, and you can feel maybe at the ending of the year I end up not having a P and I want to swap it out and put it here to complete it. It's up to you. It is your reading journal and this is for fun. We do these things for fun. So I want to make sure I add that because we a lot of times add rules to ourselves and make things more difficult. And once things become not fun, we are less likely to want to do them. So that's why I keep my reading journal fun, because I want to continue doing them. I want to continue using it. So that's why I do it. Okay, so we're now at the shelfie. I've never seen the shelfie so empty. Let me give you like a quick little glance at this one. By the way, my full complete flip through of my 2025 completed journal is coming soon. I haven't done that yet, but it's coming soon, guys. You'll get it soon, I promise. So let me go ahead and find you my shelfie. I thought this would be quicker. Where's my shelfie? So here's my almost completed shelfie from last year, and I'm so happy with it. This year I did add, if you see there, more shelves because I almost ran out of room. I was really scared last year that I would run out of room. So I'm excited to go ahead and be able to update this. So I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in and writing in all of my titles. And I'll fast forward you through this part and then bring you back. All right, guys, so I've updated my shelfie, and it's always like difficult to try to fit in titles because some titles are so long, some titles are so short. So that's why I did allow myself room to have like longer books or bigger books and then some smaller ones, just to make sure that I was able to fit in all of my little titles. But here are the first 8 books on my beautiful shelfie, and it's starting to get filled in. So this is my spread for my monthly favorites. So this is a little bit different from like yearly favorites or top books of the year, simply because there might be months where I read multiple things that are my favorites, and then other months where I read things that are not my favorites, but I still have to pick a favorite. You know what I mean? So this month, for example, is tough for me, simply because I did read 11/22/63 and The Place Where They Buried Your Heart, both of those being 5-star books, and both of those being books that I really, really loved. And these are going to be, I think, as of right now, I know it's only January, but there's a great possibility that these will end up as favorites of the year. However, the one I feel will be more of a favorite of the year, which is the way that I am picking the favorite for the month, I believe is going to be 11/22/63. So I'm going to go ahead and put that cover there. For those of you who are watching me for the first time and you're seeing my little book covers, I do have many videos on my channel that I will have linked down below, where I show you how I do these and how I use my Canon Ivy and how I use the app on my phone to get these printed. So there will be linked below videos where you get to see it. I do print in batches, and I talk to you about that in those videos so that I can make more use of my sticker paper, because this is actually a fourth of that sticker paper. I print 4 book titles in one sticker paper. So I do print mostly in batches. Okay, so if you're curious about that, you can see that in another one of my videos. So now for my bracket challenge, I am going to go ahead and put my January representative there. So I do need another copy of 11/22/63, and we'll see if I do have one, because I might need to print. And I think I do need to print. So what I do when I do need certain book titles that I need to print is I start making a little list for myself, and my list just includes things that I do need to print. So I'll go ahead and show this to you now in a minute. So I am going to be printing from, here are my very messy lists of things that I have to print. So I'll go ahead and very quickly show you how I do this. So here is my Canon Ivy, and I will print out some of these. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and then I'm going to go to my phone and open up the Canon Ivy app, and I will print some of these that I do need. I'll try to get through my list as best as I can. So once I am in the app, I'm not adding any more photos. I have saved all the photos that I need to the app. You do need to save those little photos that you download to the app, and then you'll be able to use them. I do use the 4 squares per sticker collage. So I am going to go through all of these and find out what I need. So I definitely need that 11/22/63. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. I also need a couple more 11/22/63s according to my list of things that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and print 3 of those. I'm also going to print one of The Place Where They Buried Your Heart and scratch that off. And then I'll go ahead and print that. So once you send it to print, it'll go ahead and start in a moment printing from your Canon printer. So now that this has printed, I can begin cutting it. And so I am going to go ahead and bulk print now that I am doing this for, of course, this update and for other future things that I am doing. So I'll go ahead and fast forward you through this part so you can see me do it quickly. And then I will go ahead and bring you back once I'm ready. All right, guys, we're back. So I did bulk print a lot of things. Hopefully that showed you a little bit how this works. So I was able to get my one little copy of 11/22/63 that I need for this spread right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and peel that off and add it for January. If you see, I do a lot of penciling in of things just to help me position. And I do make sure that I erase once I am done. And I have told you before that this is my favorite type of pencil to use. I think it's wonderful. And I do have quite a few erasers that are my favorite. This Magic Rub Prismacolor one is one of my favorites, but I do have quite a few of them. And I have whole videos up where I show you my favorite pencils, my favorite erasers. You can find those linked down below. They're usually my setup videos. Setup video 1 and 2 have a lot of that information. If you're looking for that, just look in the description box below and you will find every video linked there for you. All right, so this is going to be my January favorite. I'm going back in with my Inkjoy Gel 0.7 and I'm going to label this my January pick. I went with this brown kind of color to match this aesthetic. And then this is basically my bracket. For those of you who don't know, you put your January, February, and March book here, and then you pick which one is your favorite from there. And you do the same thing for each of these 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, till you have favorites for each of those. And then your favorite of the first 3 months goes up against the favorite of the next 3 months, and then you pick a semi-finalist there. Same thing with the latter portion of the year. And then this semi-finalist and this semi-finalist kind of come together to yield your favorite book of 2026. And that's just a little bracket thing that I enjoy doing. So now this is where I collect all of my 5-star reads. I was hopeful and I included 2 spreads. Last year, my reading journal, I did need the 2 spreads, but not fully. The second spread only had like 1 or 2 books added to there, but I like to be optimistic when it comes to this, and I hope I find lots of favorites. So for January, I did have these 2 5-star reads, and all I really do for these is just put the little covers on there. So if you're interested in using the book covers in your reading journal, you just need to kind of save them once, and then you just can continue reprinting them, which is why I like them to be this small so I can fit a lot on there. And I'm saving on sticker paper as well. If you're printing it on a full-size sticker paper, it's pretty big. It's a pretty big sticker sheet. And so we're going to place these 2 there. So those are both January 5-star reads for me. And then we're going to go ahead and move on. Oh my goodness. We got to play Book Tetris. So Book Tetris is basically, let me get my markers for this. So Book Tetris is basically where I try to fit in the puzzle pieces based on the different genres. And I do challenge myself a little bit by trying to go in the order that I read the books for the most part. So I know that's sometimes a little bit off because, for example, 11/22/63 technically should be the first thing I put because I started that before January. I started reading that last December. But I just kind of do it based on my Goodreads and the order that they appear there based on like completion dates and such, or when I was able to update the completion date. So that's what I'm going by, but I'm not going to try to cheat to accommodate these. I'm just going to try my best to see how it works. And this appeals to the gamer in me. I love this. I love imagining the little pieces falling down and then I have to kind of coordinate them. For this, I went ahead and used my Crayola Super Tips. I highly recommend these markers, guys. I do have my big box, the 120, I believe it is, box, but these are wonderful markers. They're very, very cheap. I really recommend them if you don't want to spend a lot of money but want some good markers. The Crayola Super Tips are excellent. And for this, the Book Tetris, I kind of keep all of mine rubber banded together because these are the colors that I am using. So I don't have to fish that huge box from my cabinets every single time I'm going to update my journal. But it's up to you how you want to do that. So I'm going to play a quick game of Tetris, and I will speed you through this part and then bring you back once I'm done. All right, guys, so this was so much fun and it came out so cute. I am obsessed with it. So I played in the order that the pieces were falling and I thought it was great. And in my mind, I was like, okay, so this is going to go click, click, like I was actually thinking of how I'd get that in or whatnot, if I'd be able to make it fit. But again, I'm doing what I can and just trying to like figure that out as I go along. But it's so much fun to play this. And I love the visual representation of the books that I am reading. So this was fun. This is a brand new one for me this year. All right. So then we have the Haunted Library Book Club, which is my book club. And we did read the January pick, The Place Where They Buried Your Heart. And that was definitely a success for me, as well as a lot of other people who read along with me. And we did have our live show already, so I will also have that linked down below for you in case you want to watch that and in case you want to read along with us for February and March. Soon I will be releasing the next 3 titles so that you can plan ahead. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and update this with my ranking for The Place Where They Buried Your Heart. And it was a 5-star read. So I will go ahead and put that here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was a 5-star read for me. I went ahead and used again my Inkjoys for that. And this is updated. So much fun to update my reading journal monthly, guys, and see what I was able to accomplish. So my best friend and I have our besties book club, and although I have not finished that first book we are reading together, I will put the little picture there because I have not added that. And this is crossing over from last year. Our book club is not a monthly book club. It's whenever we have time in our busy schedules book club. So sometimes we get to read 2 books a month. Sometimes it'll be 2 months and we only read 1 book. So it completely varies. And it's just a very fun thing that my best friend and I do. And we are very gracious and patient with each other. She's more patient with me than I need to be with her because she understands I have a lot of reading things that I need to do for my channel. So she's very patient with me. And yeah, this is going to be the one we're working on. I have already started this. I'm really liking it. She's done with it. I believe she loved it. So I will rate that once I'm done with the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. All right, so for Read Christie, I do have some things to update you on. The bad news is I did not finish reading Appointment with Death in January, so I can't write down my rating right now. The good news is that I did finish reading that because I started it in January and I finished it the first day of February. So I have read it and I'm good to start my February one, but I won't be updating this until February because I did read it, fully finish it in the month of February. But just note that I'm not slacking off on my Christie challenge. I am doing well so far. For those of you who are not familiar, I do partake in Read Christie 2026. I've done it for the last couple of years since they created this challenge. And I do have a whole video up where I show you my TBR for the Read Christie challenge. They do give you the books, but they mostly give you like a topic or title. And they do give you alternatives for people like myself who have read a lot of Christie's. And so we have to change it for whatever reason. For example, January, the book was The Body in the Library, which I've already read. And I read it, you know, recent enough to not do a reread of it. So they did have some alternate titles, and one of the alternate titles was Appointment with Death, which I had not read. So I went ahead and picked that one. All right, so now we're getting to the Buzzword reading challenge. This is a reading challenge put together and created by Kayla from Books and Lala. Love her channel and her content. And I participate in the Buzzword challenge every single year. And so basically there's a cover one and there's a word one. So the January words that we needed to read were before and after. I had picked after midnight for this. I have yet to get to it, so I can't put that on for January. However, I did read fences, and the October word is parts of a house, and a fence is a part of a house. So I'm going to go ahead and complete that one already. So you can do these challenges, again, however you'd like. Reading is meant to be fun, so are these challenges. I keep reiterating that. You can stick to reading it each of the months. I personally like to use whatever book I'm reading to cover whatever challenges there are. My only rules for myself is that I cannot use the same book for multiple ones in one Buzzword challenge. So if I already used You've Lost a Lot of Blood, I cannot use that anywhere else. If I already used Fences here, I can't use it for anything else. So that's my only rule to myself. You come up with whatever rules you feel comfortable with, and you do the challenges however you feel comfortable with. This is how I feel comfortable doing them. So I did purposefully pick You've Lost a Lot of Blood for January because it's internal parts, and Kayla did say that blood counted as that. So these are things that have to be present on the cover. So You've Lost a Lot of Blood does have a lot of blood on the cover. So I went ahead and picked that one for this. But then I'm also using some of the things that I read here for the other ones. So the February one is pick something that has a silhouette on the cover. And this definitely has a silhouette here, the perfect sun. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to there. So I'm excited. I've already completed my February one. And you can always do more of these if you would like. You know, you can always double up. Last year for the cover challenge, I believe I did 2 each. So I was able to complete that. Then For March, it's an action or movement on the cover. And here we have the car with the headlights and the track marks here. So we see the car moving clearly here. The snowfall is also moving, trickling down. So this has movement or motion in multiple parts. I included that for my March one as well. And then this one, August, required that you have a book with damage on the cover. And this does have damage on each of the corners and the back. So it seems like the cover itself has suffered some damage. That's something that's pretty popular now in publishing. A lot of books have that effect, if you will. So I went ahead and included that one for August. So technically I'm pretty caught up with everything except for my before and after, but I know I will get to After Midnight soon and be able to use that one. I do find it easier to complete the book cover challenges than the word ones. These are a little bit more difficult to complete. So these kind of do themselves organically more easily than these. But my goal is to finish both of them. All right, so now we're going to move on to publication years. This is how I decided to do it this year. And last year in my reading journal had the years already written out. So I wanted to do something a little bit different this year because I did have a lot of years I didn't read from and they were just blank spaces on there. So I decided to kind of work this out this way. I think I'm going to do like the first 3 for like 2020s and then maybe for like the 2010s and these and then so on and so forth. I think that's how I want to do it. But technically I could do it however I would like to do that and it would be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and also color in with certain colors for each of the months. So I'm going to look to see what my color was for January. And it's like this teal color. So I'm going to try to find a teal marker that's going to go well with that. I think I want to use, let's see if I want to use this one. Maybe this should be a little bit more bluish, but let's see. Let me see what this looks like compared to that. This one's actually a little bit, yes. Let's see how this one looks. I wish it were something a little bit more blue. Let's see if I have something a little more bluish. Yes, I think this is perfect. Okay. These markers, sometimes the tops are a little bit deceiving, so you always want to swatch out unless you know exactly the number, that's the number you want to use. I did not in this case, so always swatch it out before you try it because, you know, it might not be the color you're looking for. So I'm going to do this to kind of signify January, and I will color all 9 of them in this color, and then I will put the date of publication on top. I did not tell you, but I am using this pen, and this is the Pilot multi-ball. And I have heard that these might be discontinued. I'm not really sure, guys. If that's true, I'm going to be very, very upset because these pens are absolutely wonderful. They're quick drying. They write on vinyl. They're wonderful. So if you can get your hands on them, then do it. If you're interested in this kind of pen that writes on most surfaces, simply because they might be discontinued. My pen connoisseurs, do you know if this is discontinued? Because, you know, it's not like I'm lacking, but I want to make sure that I try to get my hands on a couple of them. I use this all the time. I use this when I'm writing on vinyl. I'm using, you know, this is a staple for me in my reading journal. So I would like to get my hands on a couple more if they are discontinued. So I'm going to go ahead and update this and then I'll bring you back, guys. and updated this. I did see that I have to let that dry a little bit, believe it or not. So yeah, just in case you didn't see, it kind of smeared a little bit when I was doing that. So you do have to let it dry. It dries fairly quickly, but you should let it dry so that it doesn't smear with your pen ink. So I went ahead and put in my 2020s like up here, then the 20 teens here, and then kind of like the 80s and 90s will be here. And then from the bottom on, I'll put like my classics and my Agatha Christie's and work my way like that. I think that's the best way to kind of handle this. It is a little difficult. I struggled with ideas on how to do this, but that's what I'm going with for this year. The Literally Dead book club hasn't started yet. It begins this month of February. So we will be reading How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates for Kayla's book club. And I'll go ahead and make sure I rate that once I'm done there. So next we have Kindle Unlimited books. So I did read 2 of those this month, and it was The Perfect Son and The Crash. I'm going to go ahead and update that with this and with this. Let me just double check that this is how I want to highlight. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and check off my little box here and my little box here, and then I will highlight both of these titles as my Kindle Unlimited titles that I went ahead and read this month. I'm currently working on Dear Debbie on my Kindle, so that will hopefully get done for next month. And now we need to play the blurb game and see if any of these have been blurbed. I do explain the blurb game in full detail in one of my other videos, which was setting this page up. So if you are interested in the complete and full details on how to play that, it will be there. My Kindle books do not count for this, and my Book of the Month books don't count for this. Neither do my Aardvark ones, I think, because they don't have blurbs. But let's see what we currently have that I can use. So this is my version of 11/22/63, and I'm just going to see if it's blurbed by an author and it mentions a book that I already have on my TBR. That's in essence how this works. I don't see any of that in the front. Okay, let's go to the back. USA Today, San Diego Tribune, don't see that there either. So this does not get to play the blurb game. We're going to put it to the side right now. Let's see if yours truly has anything I can use for the blurb game. These are just quotes in her dedication. The back has famous people blurbing it, but it does not have authors or books. Let me just make sure the back. Okay, so we do not have that here. So this one's not playing the blurb game either. Let's see here for Fences. This is just an introduction. This is more information on the play itself. Let's see, the back is New York Times, Daily News. Wow, no blurb game in this one. How strange. Normally we do have quite a few books to add to the blurb game. All right, let's see if this one has anything. This Eric LaRocca one, that's information on the author. These are notes. The front has some. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the side here. So Chuck Wendig, The Book of Accidents, I actually have that sitting on my shelf. So that's a possibility. And I think that might be it. Let's see. Ooh, Jonathan Janz. I also have Jonathan Janz on my list, but I'm not sure if I own anything by that author or those books. Okay, so I think automatically The Book of Accidents, which is a very thick book, has now made it to play in the blurb game. All right, so we're going to go ahead and fill that out for this one. So let's go ahead and try that out and see what this is going to look like. So we're going to go ahead and write down this little checklist, and I'm going to do this with you since it's the first time we're doing this together. My checkbox is there. Then I'm going to write down, you've lost a lot of blood. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw out an arrow to here. And I'm going to put, first I'm going to underline my title. Then I'm going to draw out an arrow and my little checklist box. And I'm going to put Chuck Wendig's The Book of Accidents. And then I'm going to mark off that I've read, you've lost a lot of blood. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this one because I have read it. So now this book in the blurb game has led me to the Book of Accidents. So what will happen is the Book of Accidents will automatically come on to my February TBR, and it will continue with me until I'm able to read it. And I'll keep carrying it over if I'm not able to finish it off this month. This is not counting for that, and I believe this one either, because books that are a part of Aardvark or Book of the Month, I don't think have. Actually, look, so Aardvark does have that, which is very, very cool. So Aardvark books do have blurbs, as opposed to Book of the Month ones that don't have that. So let's see. So this has Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. So this indeed is in my list. So now I will go ahead and add it to the blurb game as well. I'm going to go ahead and skip a line to make sure that they don't cross over. So this is the place where they buried your heart. And this led me to Boys in the Valley, which I've been dying to read because I've heard wonderful things about that book. I have read Philip Fracassi before, and I absolutely loved what I read of his. So I'm excited to get that onto my TBR. All right, so that was a pretty good update for the blurb game, the first time that we're doing that in this journal. All right, so now we're going to jump into January and see what we can update for January. So I can either use this same blue. I think I'm going to use the same blue. I could also use my Prismacolor for that. So I'll see now what I do want to use. I should be able to find a bluish. This one kind of would be good for that. Let's see if I want to use this or not. So first, I'm going to grab a pen that I think will look good with this. So I have a lot of options. I'm not really sure I remember what I used for this. So let me very quickly test out. I think the pen I used for this might have been this one. Yes, I think it was this one. Or maybe it was this one. It was this one. So we're going to go ahead and use this to continue updating. I'll show you what that pen is now in a minute. So this is the Uniball eye pen. It's light blue. The color is light blue. and it's fine tip. I absolutely love these, guys. These have been some of my favorite pens for a very long time. Okay, so let's go ahead and check off everything here. You've lost a lot of blood. I read this. I'll highlight it now. Danganronpa Volume 4, I read. Yours truly, Elvira, I read. The First Time I Saw Him, Appointment with Death, 7.5 Offenses, I read. Crazy Spooky Love, Ligeia After, The Place Where They Buried Your Heart, I read. 11/22/63, I read. The Perfect Sun, I read. And Crash, I read. There should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so I read 8 of the books that I had on my TBR. Now I want to go ahead and add some of my stats for the month. So I'm going to go ahead and write down for my stats that I was able to read. I read a total of 1 manga. I read 2 horror novels. I read 1 classic in the form of a play. That was Fences. I read 1 memoir. I read 1 historical / sci-fi fiction, which was 11/22/63. It's a very difficult book to find a genre for. And I read 2 thrillers. So that's kind of like the breakdown for that. Then I also read these in 2 ebook. 2 of them were ebooks. 6 were physical books that I had. And then the way I consumed them, I read 4 physically. And I read 1 audio / physical in tandem. And I read 3 as audiobooks, purely audio. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I read a total 8 books. And my average star rating was, I believe, 3.75. And my page number total was 2,681 pages. All right, so that's kind of like the breakdown. And I do go over my stats in my end of year wrap up. So in case you are wondering, you can find that there. And then I do want to have a physical representation of all the books that I read. So I have The Place Where They Buried Your Heart. I have 11/22/63. I have Yours Truly, Elvira. I have Fences, and I have The Crash. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I am missing 3 books that I didn't write reviews for that I will put on here. So You've Lost a Lot of Blood is one of them. The Perfect Sun is another one. Danganronpa Volume 4 is another one. And I think that's pretty much everything, if I am not mistaken. So I'm going to put these 3 here. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on here and put the star ratings right underneath. So I have that info on there. So here is one of them. And here's going to be another one and another one here. And I will put my star ratings on there. I think this is where it goes. Perfect. And this at least lets me visually see where I'm going with these. So where's my blue pen again? So this one did receive 3 stars. This one did receive 2 stars. And this one did receive 4 stars. Okay, and then once we move on to the next couple pages, my reviews are there for those books that I did want to talk a little bit more about, and then I will start my February here. But before we conclude this, I do want to do my January bingo. So I'm going to try to map this out to make the most out of everything. So let's see. Were any of these, going back to my Goodreads to be able to check that out. All right. So for history, I think, and I'm going to just use like my pencil on here. So for history, I can totally put 11, 22, 63. I did not reread anything. Did anything have a bird on the cover? So let me quickly look at all my covers. There are no birds. There are no birds anywhere on the covers. A debut. Were any of these debuts? So let's go through each of them. Debuts. I don't think so. No, no, no. All right, so none of these were debuts. New in the title. So nothing has the word new in the title. I did not do that one. Anything set in Australia? No. Anything with a white cover? Yes. I think we can use Danganronpa for that. Something that was published this year. I don't think 11. I don't think anything was published in 2026. No. None of these. A nonfiction, we'll go ahead and do Elvira on there. A fresh start. Do any of these feature something with a fresh start? Let me think. A fresh start, not really. Hot beverage on the cover, no. A new to me author, yes, absolutely. There are quite a few, I believe. I had never read anything from Cassandra Peterson, but I'm using her here already. Christina Henry, I've read from before. Frida, I've read from before. Stephen King, I've read from before. So it's down to Cassandra Peterson or August Wilson. So I'll go ahead and put August Wilson for this. So Fences. Something that was published last year. Yes, definitely. The Place Where They Buried Your Heart. A one-word title. One-word title. Fences. So I could use that one as well. First in the title, no. A self-help book, no. A first in the series, no. A science fiction, I can totally use 11, 22, 63. So I'll see if it's more convenient for me to use it here or here. 3 people on the cover. The only one that would fit is 11/22/63 because it does have 3 people on the cover. So that one would be, again, 11/22. A blue cover. I think the crash would count. 7-letter word. Danganronpa, I think. 7 or more letters. So that would be Danganronpa. Law enforcement, no. Red hair on the cover, no. Although Cassandra Peterson is a redhead, but she's wearing her wig on there. And a young adult book, no, not really. Okay, so I don't think I got bingo. This one's really difficult, guys. So maybe I want to use things. I'm going to have to use things for multiple times. I think that's what I'm going to come up with, because these bingo boards, it's requiring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be tough if I only use them once. So I'm going to use them for whatever applies. I think that's what I'm going to go with. So for history, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark down history. So this one gets marked. And then I'm going to write on here some little arrows. And I'm going to put 11/22/63. And then I'm going to take this out and I'm going to put, for white cover, I'm going to use Danganronpa. So I'm going to carry this over here. All right. Then for nonfiction, I'm going to choose, I have to erase it first. For that one, I'm choosing Yours Truly, Elvira. I'm going to bring it up here. Yours Truly, Elvira. Fresh Start, Hot Beverage, New to Me author. We're going to do August Wilson. So this is going to be Fences. And then published last year, we're going to use The Place Where They Buried Your Heart. We're going to go down here. The Place Where They... These are way harder. My bingo boards from last year only had like 3 things. The Place Where They Buried Your Heart. One word title. We're going to use Fences again. First in the title, self-help. First in the series. For science fiction, I'm going to reuse 11/22/63. Three people on the cover. I'm also going to use 11/22/63. Even like this, guys, I'm still not going to be able to make bingo because of the placement, but at least it gives me more of a chance in future months. I do get asked where I get my bingo sheets, and these are mostly, all of them, I want to say, printables that I have purchased from various creators on Etsy. So if you go to Etsy and you just look up book bingos, you should be able to find some printables that you can buy if you want to do that. And I print them myself and just cut them. And they give you various sizes, which is nice. according to whatever your notebook is. So 7 letter in a title. Danganronpa's the word. So we're gonna include that here. Danganronpa Volume 4. Law enforcement, red hair, and young adult. So we did not get bingo, guys. Unfortunately, we almost got it this way. Almost got it this way. Missing hot beverage on the cover. But yeah, pretty nice to still fill a lot of this out. So I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and move forward with doing each month. And we have officially gotten to the end, guys. This has been quite the lengthy update. I hope you were planning along with me and working on your own spreads, because this was pretty lengthy, but I am so happy with the way that my 2026 reading journal is turning out. I still have a couple more pages I want to set up, but for today I've updated it, which was my goal, and I have featured everything I read in the month of January. Let me know how your month went. What spreads are you working on for your reading journal? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with my reading journal and everything that I am working on. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.